shoot at mountains to cause avalanches. And apparently he was America's premier avalanche creator.
I feel like veteran starts cottage business shooting mountains might be the most American story we've ever told on the show. Hello, and welcome to Talk Spooky to Me, the Ghost Story Guys mail show. I'm Brennan Storr.
I'm Paul Bestel.
And this is our opportunity to hear from you, our audience. Paul Bestel, my friend, how are you doing?
I'm all right. I've learnt a lot about two things I didn't know anything about this week, so it's been quite eye-opening as I battle a really annoying cold.
Oh no, that's a pain in the ass. I assume one of the things you were learning about is how our recording platform likes to fuck you over at the very last minute.
No, that would be a third thing, but thanks to your support and my autism, I managed to turn that around in 3.5 hours, so I'm quite glad.
I am good at problem solving. That I can do.
Glad you are. I was like Owen Wilson in Zoolander. So yes, I stumbled on a documentary about the Alpine Meadows avalanche disaster of 1982.
Oh.
Which I'd never heard of, which is in Lake Tahoe, near Lake Tahoe, in the States.
So what's the sort of the elevator pitch on that one?
Essentially, it is this group of young people having a great time. Skiing's got really cool, so everybody's hanging out, having too much sex, having a lovely time. And then the worst winter weather that anybody can remember happens. And essentially they decide to close the ski slopes down because it's too dangerous. And so everybody's going around trying to cause the avalanches to kick off anyway with dynamite and stuff. Nothing seems to be happening. And then at about 2:30 in the afternoon, the guys in the control centre get a message from one of the guys who's out there, and message comes through and he just shouts, "Avalanche!" And then the next thing, gone. They had 4 separate avalanche zones that all came down at the same time and just hit this ski centre. But it was fascinating. I didn't know anything about that.
Growing up somewhere where avalanches are a thing, that's genuinely frightening. I know when if you drive the Coquihalla Highway that connects the interior to the coast, you will see the platforms that they use to mount the howitzers, or I don't know if they're howitzers, I think 105 millimeter guns that they use to bring down the avalanches. Yeah. It's really quite something. Yes,
there was a man there who apparently that was his trade after the Vietnam War. He came back and just went around areas offering his cannon to shoot at mountains to cause avalanches. And apparently he was America's premier avalanche creator.
I feel like veteran starts cottage business shooting mountains might be the most American story we've ever told on the show. There's, if you can find it, I'm sure they're out there, a documentary on the 1910 Rogers Pass avalanche. I remember being in Revelstoke for the 100th anniversary of that in 2010. And basically 58 people were killed when part of the mountain came down. And it happened so fast that some of them were frozen to death upright. They described it as being like almost Pompeii-like. These figures just flash frozen by the rushing snow. And, it's funny, I'm editing together next week's episode, which is going to be a bit of a gift to everyone as we are taking some time off of Christmas. But I was listening to part of it, which is from an old episode, and I was talking about dam drills. And it occurred to me that my whole childhood was full of these reminders of sudden extinction. So, because we had these dam drills where there were dam break drills, where basically we would file out of our classroom as little kids, walk down the street, and then head up to what's called the Eastern Access Highway, which is, a sort of a raised position above the town. And of course, the big joke is that if the dam ever broke, it would probably happen reasonably quickly. And all this would do is give you prime viewing location to watch the wall of water rush towards you, like in some kind of horror movie. So I can't imagine why I have anxiety.
I've often said we're very fortunate here because we get bugger all, really, of extreme weathers. We just got told, don't play on pylons or go near the river because the spirit of death might pull you in.
Yeah, you guys just got terrifying soup commercials, which we're going to be talking about here in a sec. Because the one thing I'm not anxious about is listener mail.
Our courteous and efficient staff is on call 24 hours a day to serve all your supernatural elimination needs.
We're ready to believe you.
I used to have a t-shirt that I got a long time ago. Nick got me a shooting course down in Vegas. You get to try, a pump action shotgun, a couple different handguns, fully automatic rifle, so it was interesting. I'm not really a gun guy, but it was kind of a fun thing to try. And at the end, you get a free t-shirt with a giant AK-47 on it, or I guess AR-15. And I would wear that to the gym just because I don't really like guns per se, and I certainly don't want to be advertising guns. So I thought, well, it's a free shirt. I'll just sweat all over it. I'll never wear it out in like public. That was a mistake. Because when you wear a gun shirt to the gym, I've realized this now, you're signaling something to a certain kind of person. And let me tell you, these are not people you don't want to be making friends with. Like I retired the shirt about a year ago when I realized what was happening. When a lot of guys with shaved heads and suspiciously Norse-looking tattoos be like, "Hey, brother." But even now, someone stopped me the other day and said, "Hey, brother, what do your tattoos mean?" Well, not white supremacy. So I don't think you're going to want to be my friend. Yikes.
Just confuse them and say, do you know where a tacking is?
I don't know what that is.
I didn't till the other day. I'd never heard of this creature.
What is it?
How can I describe it? Imagine you had to describe a buffalo that thinks it's a goat to an alien.
I'm intrigued.
They are balmy. I didn't know anything about them. I don't know how I've missed it because they live in the Himalayas. I would suggest you look at a takin. So Takin. They're amazing.
I have to say, the first photo that comes up when I look at Google is worryingly seductive. It just got this very kind of louche posture, and it's looking at the camera. It looks like it's winking at me, actually. And I'm thinking watching Zootopia 2 might have done something to my brain.
Yeah, so I'd never seen them before. They're very odd-looking creatures, aren't they? And here's the strange thing. They're not related to buffaloes.
Really?
It's a member of the goat family.
Fascinating. Because, they look like water buffaloes on Ozempic.
Yeah, there's some great footage of them, like, just knocking trees down and stuff. Or just chasing Bhutanese villagers through jungles and stuff. So, yeah. So you think you've seen everything. And I don't understand why I've never seen one of those before or heard about them, seeing as they're in the Himalayas.
Well, this episode's going to be full of stuff we haven't heard of because our very first message comes from Kathy. And Kathy says, "Hey, love you guys. I just read an article about mushrooms that make people see tiny people. And I remembered Paul talking about seeing tiny people invade his childhood bedroom. Thought you might enjoy the article if you haven't already seen it. Thanks for all you do." And she sent over the article, which is from the Natural History Museum of Utah. And it says, experts explore new mushroom which causes fairy tale-like hallucinations. And this is dated November 12th, 2025. So this is not necessarily a brand new discovery, but this is something which is increasingly coming into awareness. Because it says here that in 1934, outsiders in the western highlands of Papua New Guinea encountered a perplexing sight. After consuming a type of wild mushroom, which they called nanda, the local people would appear to go temporarily insane, exhibiting a sudden and striking change in mood and behavior. Specifically, it was reported that those affected would experience Lilliputian hallucinations, a rare, clinically defined psychiatric syndrome named after the tiny people in Gulliver's Travels, characterized by the perception of numerous little people autonomously moving about and interacting in the real world. Which is pretty fucking wild.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's almost as crazy as having to explain what Lilliputian means.
It didn't even occur to me people wouldn't know that, but I suppose that is a possibility.
I mean, the book's only been out 360 years. For fuck's sake.
Support your local libraries.
Support your 18th century satirists.
There you go. Satire's dead now, so we may as well honor its family.
Well, this is true, and I've got a special story that I've been saving for you today.
Ooh. Hit me.
Are you ready for the headline?
Thank you, Kathy. And then, bring it on home.
Sausage bandit dumps massive pile of wieners on Bristol footpath. A meaty mystery has gripped Bristol after hundreds of raw sausages were dumped on a footpath. The pile of bangers was fly-tipped near a fence in Peel Street Green Space in St Jude's. The rogue wieners have been widely shared on social media. They have so far survived 4 nights, despite Storm Brand's strong winds and rain.
You know, I bet that for whoever wrote this, being able to say meaty mystery more than made up for having to write 6 articles every day for the last 10 years.
Absolutely. It's full of juicy morsels in this particular article, such as Callum Snow. It's a good name to have at this time of year, isn't it? If you think that's good, wait till you find out what his dog's called. So Callum Snow was on his usual walk with his dog, Pugless, when he came across the pile of sausages. He told Metro, "I just had her, like, dragging towards something, and there was another dog there, so I thought, oh yeah, she's just dragging me towards the other dog. And then we saw a massive pile of sausages, and I just wet myself, really."
So, Paul, I need you to do me a favor. Check the byline. I think you just found a Dr. Seuss book. That's what happened here. This is just a Dr. Seuss book. Could not in my mouth.
People have been debating what type of sausages are they? Are they Richmond's or Tesco own brand? The mystery deepens. Whether it's connected to the weirdo who, I don't know if that weirdo's still posting raw meat through people's letterboxes somewhere in England. Whether that's connected to it, I don't know. But it's very unusual to dump so many meaty sausages on a path, even in Bristol.
Is the letterbox weirdo in the room with us right now?
No. No, he is not.
Blink once for yes and twice for no.
It wasn't me.
All right. Well, with the presumption of innocence and Shaggy's 2000 era masterpiece ringing in our ears, we'll move on to our next message.
And this is from Nanbo Lin on Patreon, who says, "I hate that I looked up that soup advert."
Oh, of course. This a reference to the Knorr's soup so good it makes you go schloop advert from, I think it was the 1980s?
If only. 1990s.
90s?
Yeah.
Oh,
we just
man.
don't care here.
No, time passes at a different pace there.
Certainly does. Some people think it's still 1626 and Queen Elizabeth I on the throne. Obviously, I know she wasn't queen then, before somebody writes in.
They're ziplining in right now to hit you over the head with Encyclopedia Britannica.
I know King Charles I was the king at the time. She died 30 years earlier, all right.
I love how defensive you get about history gaffes.
I'm ill.
So I have, the last 2 days, I have been speed reading my way through the book Welcome to the Family by Barry Hertz. It is a comprehensive history of the Fast and Furious franchise, written by one of my fellow countrymen. Barry Hertz is a film critic from Toronto. One of the things that I find really funny is, obviously, if you want like a warts and all look at the back end of those movies and how fraught with egotism and stupidity they are, it's a good book. It's a little, it's a little like a little a little purple in its prose. It's like a little like punny, but it's solid research. And there's this one bit which I think was hilarious where they're talking about Fast 6, the one with what's his name, Luke Evans as the villain, Owen Shaw, and there is a car chase through London in that film. And the thing that made me chuckle at this, it was mostly at the self-importance of the crew, is I guess London was very particular about damage. And they said, if you're going to do this, if you are going to like race cars through fucking Piccadilly, then if you cannot damage anything, this is a historic city. We don't want you wrecking the place. And the crew just thought this was the most precious, annoying behavior possible, and were really like, oh, Jesus, what do you mean you don't want us to drive a tank through this incredibly historically significant place?
I was going to say, I'm glad you remembered that name, mate, because you'd be struggling for any help from this end about Fast and the Furious.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know how many there are.
Oh, I do. Yeah, I know. Well, now I know a lot about Fast and Furious. Again, I've torn through that book. I'm probably about 3/4 of the way through it. So next up comes from Tracy via email. Tracy says, "Hi, lovely boys. I thought of you early hours this morning listening to ABC in Australia. This was around 3 a.m. They played Stranded by the Saints, an Australian punk band. I think you'd like the track, but it was also the theme song for a series called Spirited, which was produced by ABC in 2010 about a ghost played by Matt King, who you might know, Paul. I hope you get a chance to check it out. And then in another message, are you familiar with Spirited?
I'm not familiar with Spirited, but I am familiar with Matt King, who is very famous here for playing a recurring character in Peep Show, which is David Mitchell and Robert Webb's sort of strange and peculiar sitcom that features numerous luminaries of the British comedy scene. And he plays one of their friends called Super Hands, and he's basically just a drug-addled sex fiend. He's frighteningly, hilariously creepy. So he's it's a very disturbing character, and as far as I'm aware, he's nothing like that in real life. But he's a very good comedy actor.
And she goes on to say, "Oh, absolutely love your podcast, especially the banter. I feel close to you both as I was born in Castleford, and I've had a whirlwind trip through southeast Canada. I now live in Australia. I just wanted to share a photo of my beautiful boy Rafa, who I lost a few months ago after hearing you talk about Rolf and Chewie. He was almost 17 and has been my rock through many years of loss and mental health issues. It was lovely to hear you both talking about your pets. Take care of yourselves. Much love, Tracy." And Tracy included a picture of Rafa here, and he was a beautiful boy, and I'm very sorry for your loss.
Absolutely, a very kissy face.
Yeah.
And that's quite funny that she comes from Castleford, because strangely enough, there's a skiing venue at Castleford, so it's kind of come full circle.
Oh, okay.
Which is it called Extreme?
Escape.
That's it. I once went to a business conference there for some reason.
So Tracy, again, I'm so sorry about Rafa, but I'm happy we could help you through some of that, because it's just the worst thing in the world. You know, I still look at pictures of Chewie and get choked up. I have a recording of her purring for about 8 minutes that I sometimes still listen to when I'm going to bed. So I know what you're going through.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a little shrine for Rolf with loads of little pictures and stuff that I've had, and that'll be that's 8 years. So
Oh man,
Mum's got his ashes. So
they're small, man, but they take up a lot of room in your heart.
Absolutely, and we wouldn't have it any other way. Next, Gurev writes to us and says, "Hey, Brennan and Paul. I recently discovered you when I was looking for local ghost stories getting closer to Halloween. I was delighted to learn so much, and there's actually a Hammerson Peters video that talks about someone that went missing for 3 days on the old Dewdney Trail back in the early days of Maple Ridge in British Columbia. 3 days is much more than 15 minutes lost by the two friends going back to grab their wallets from a gas station, but the theme of losing time through the same mountain range is very interesting. I also wanted to give some validation to the stories about Fort Langley. Whenever I go there, I hear this consistent chatter just outside my vicinity, almost like people are gathering for a parade and they're all having their conversations. I can't make out what they're saying, but it's like walking through a hotel when you know someone left a talk show on their TV and you can hear the muffled intonations of a couple of voices in the conversation. It's like that, but so many that it's like a spirit box of noise."
That is fascinating. Well, Gaurav, it seems like you're tuned into something there. Don't follow it if it seems to be leading you somewhere.
Yes, especially the woods.
Yeah, the woods. No, just the woods. Yeah, just the woods. I would follow it down in the sewers before I followed it into the woods. There's a chance you could meet a Ninja Turtle down there, or at least a murderous clown. Out in the woods, all bets are off.
Yes, very true. Giant rats, even an alligator or two.
This is starting to sound like that song, The Unicorn by the Irish Rovers. Got your giant alligators. Anyways, I won't sing anymore, folks. I won't do that to you.
Oh.
My friend and I went to karaoke the other night at the pub I like to go to, and I didn't sing, but I did about 7 Jaeger bombs, because in my heart I'm a 25-year-old stockbroker.
What do you have them with in Canada? Do you have them with something, or do you just have them straight?
The Jaeger bombs?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's what do you call Jägermeister and Red Bull.
Cool.
Would you guys do something different?
No, I was just making sure that it's a universal accompaniment, because it's the same.
Oh yeah, no, I think all peoples are cursed equally by the Jaeger bomb.
Yeah, I can't drink Red Bull; it gives me indigestion. Which is amazing considering the things I've consumed over the years.
Paul could eat things that'll make a billy goat puke. You and Rambo have that in common. All right. So next up comes from Sarah via our website. And of course, you can always reach us, and we have a form at ghoststoryguys.com. Sarah says, "Hey guys, I heard you mention North Carolina and Bigfoot on the recent episode of Talk Spooky. I lived there for 20 years and wanted to give you some more local info. There's an area down by the coast known as the Green Swamp. It's notorious for Bigfoot sightings. I don't recommend getting lost in there at night. I actually did once, as Google Maps did me extremely dirty when returning to the Raleigh area from the beach. It is a penetrating, living darkness, no cell signal, and the swamp comes right up the edges of the two-lane road. I thought for sure the Swampsquatch would take me, but I made it out after a white-knuckle ride." In other North Carolina Bigfoot news, they're evidently engaging in Bigfoot conservation, which I think is nice. Anyway, love your pod, and my best to you both. Well, thank you, Sarah. And the article she's linked here is from the Charlotte Observer. Mountain swamp known for Bigfoot sightings is being saved by North Carolina conservationists. Cool. Well, I hope that this article's 5 years old, so I hope they succeeded. And that, again, the present administration has not decided to sell the land off to billionaires in Saudi Arabia and then just put the money into a paper shredder. But thank you, Sarah. And again, I'm glad you made it out and Swampsquatch didn't get you. That would, oh Christ, that would put the scare in me.
Yes, don't want David Paulides writing a book about you.
The ultimate indignity. Donald Trump speaks at my funeral, and David Paulides writes the book about me. The only thing that'd be worse is if they kissed at my grave. With Zach Baggins cheering them on.
Our next missive is from Lisa, who says, "Dear Brennan and Paul, as many listeners have said, I love listening to your podcast. The stories, the banter, and your support of mental health all rolled into one are why I look forward to your podcast every week. The fact that Paul doesn't like Queen or Pop-Tarts, well, we all have our faults. No, can I just clarify? There are at least 5 songs, if I'm at a push, that Queen have released that I can cope with, okay?"
Oh, high praise that I can cope with.
Yeah. One I like.
What's the one you like?
Who Wants to Live Forever?
Oh, of course. Well, naturally, yeah, that's a great one. I thought it was going to be that or Fat Bottom Girls.
I'm not a fan of much of their 70s output, I have to say. Right. Most of the paranormal experiences I've had have been a little voice warning of something. I once had a growing feeling that I shouldn't go to a concert. The day before the concert, the feeling was so strong I couldn't ignore it. I called my date and told him that I wasn't feeling well enough to go, as I was still recovering from chickenpox. Yes, at age 22 I got chickenpox. My date was pissed and kept trying to convince me to go, but I refused. The day after the concert, I got the newspaper, this was back in 1991, and the headline was that 3 people had been trampled to death. But the experiences that I've had have really stuck out involved my deceased nephew, Tyler. We had been close, but I guess not close enough for me to get him to stop using drugs. And in March of 2023, Tyler passed away at the age of 31. He was in the hospital for 11 days, he was septic, his organs were failing, and his heart was working at around 5%. I was a mess the entire time he was at the hospital, and the doctors told us about 4 times that he wouldn't make it through the night. It was pure hell. The night he died, I didn't feel relief that he was free from drugs. I just felt guilty that I didn't do more to help him. In the summer of 2024, our city had the brilliant idea to repave all the streets in our neighbourhood. That October, we had the windows open because it was still warm, and I could smell something that made me think that the streets were still being worked on, even though the work had been done for over a month. I asked my husband and our son, but neither of them could smell anything. And my husband asked what I could smell. I said it was like a solvent used to clean up grease. And a few days later, I was talking to my sister, my nephew's mum. I asked her when Tyler's spirit visited her if there was a smell, and she said yes. So I asked her what she smelt, and she said, "This is going to sound weird, but it smelt like a solvent that he would use at the mechanic shop that he worked at." I freaked out and yelled, "That's it!" Then I explained what happened a few days before, and she said it was definitely Tyler visiting me. Then in June of this year, I had the TV on as I was watching the French Tennis Open. I was walking through the kitchen when I distinctly heard a male voice say, "I love you." I thought maybe it was my son on the phone with his grandma, but I looked and he was nowhere in sight. Then I thought maybe it was Tyler. Later that night, I texted my sister saying what had happened. She got the text, read it, and then sat her phone down to let the dogs outside. When she got back to her phone, the words, "It was Tyler," were on her screen. She was home alone, and the words weren't even in the spot to reply to a text. She took a screenshot of it and sent it to me. She commented, "Look at this, I didn't even type anything. Plus that's not where the replies go." We texted back and forth, and she said that this was one of the most obvious signs from Tyler that she'd ever seen. If it were not for the words that showed up on my sister's phone, I would probably have convinced myself that I'd imagined the voice. But my sister said, he really wanted you to hear that message. And now, obviously, Lisa has shared these screenshots, and that is bananas.
It really is. Unfortunately, I don't think we're able to share these with the audience, but yeah, you can clearly see the autocorrect says it was Tyler. Autocorrect is a fickle beast, fine. I'm sure, again, there's some skeptical folks out there, but for me, that is just really stunning. And yeah, Lisa, I hope that was comforting for you.
Absolutely. And don't be too hard on yourself, Lisa. Addiction is a terrible thing, and you can beat yourself up hoping that you should have tried more or done something different, but sometimes addictions will take people regardless, sadly. And I hope you're all moving forwards and supporting each other as much as you can.
Yeah, very much so. I think I've mentioned here, Paul and I've talked about addiction. My old man, he passed a couple of years ago, but he was an addict up until a couple of years before his death. I later found out. I knew he was an addict. I didn't know he'd gotten clean. But yeah, all my conversations, the memories of my conversations with him as an adult were all of him very fucked up. And he was never a good guy, throughout most of my childhood, but he was much worse once he really, really got heavily into the drug use. And you can't make someone, I think you can't make them want to get better. I think they have to find their way to it, because by the time he got clean, he'd already lost his family and his friends, and I don't know what was the impetus to get clean. He died before I could find out. But thank you very much for sharing, and again, I hope that brought you some comfort. Next up is from Siobhan on Patreon. Hello, Siobhan.
Hello.
Hey guys, Alan Carr book contributed to my having quit smoking.
Alan Carr.
Killed by a cigarette. One of the points he made was that the only reason you want the next cigarette is because of the addiction response set up from the last one. No fun, no high, no liquid social lubricant. Years of hard-won sobriety and these stupid sticks were still running my show, and they didn't even get me high. Somehow it wasn't hard to quit after that. Thanks to the humor, humanity, and great stories, as always. Merry Christmas all. Merry Christmas, Siobhan.
Alan Carr still saving lives from beyond the grave.
That's pretty cool, man.
That's what I would have wanted, I would suspect.
Hell yeah. Yeah. I think we understand so little about the addiction response in us. Like, again, talking about my dad, when I was younger, I was very angry at him for the man he had become and for his behavior. But the older I got, the more I understood that cycle. I couldn't be mad at him anymore because it wasn't really something I felt that he was in control of.
Well, this is the thing. I think addiction is a medical issue. It's not a criminal issue.
Yeah.
And I think the more countries that treat it so will find a far better response to it.
Even myself, when I was younger, there was a particular cycle of behavior I had that once I realized I was doing it, like it hit me once. Because some of it was eating. I've always kind of had, I guess you could say I've had disordered eating my whole life. And it was always kind of connected to mood stuff. And once I realized that the next step in that cycle was me eating something and then feeling bad for eating something I probably shouldn't have eaten, I was like, oh, and I saw all the different steps that led to that. And I was able to break that particular chain. But again, I think most people don't view these behaviors that way. I've mentioned many times in the show, I have a friend who works in the medical field. And one of the few times I've argued with them was about this, because they basically said, I am so sick of going back to people's houses when I know the doctor has told them to stop smoking. I don't know how you expect me to have any sympathy for you if you won't do that simple thing. And because they've never had a drink, they've never tried any drug, they don't understand what the cycle of addiction is. And so they can't, I tried to explain like triggers and things like this. They couldn't hear it. It was purely a willpower issue and you don't have any. And I think that's a more common point of view than most people might imagine.
Oh, yes, definitely. Of course it is. People say, oh, well, you just need to try harder.
Yeah.
I'm sure they do. You know, I'm not sure anybody wants to end up as an addict of any description, really. And it's finding which part of the brain it works upon. I have to be very careful because I've got a very addictive personality. I know I have. But I've never liked alcohol enough. So that was never, booze has never been my issue.
I mean, that's good. It was for me when I was younger. I've found my way through that, but, and I can socially drink now. I don't always, like, I don't have to get drunk. But when I was younger, especially when I was dealing with what I guess now was the autism and things like this, you know, I had zero or I had hammered, and it was not, not a great place to be. I never really tried hard drugs, you know, like I didn't even smoke a joint till I was in my early 20s, but food and booze were two things that I've always, even now, I still struggle with the food thing, not as much, but it's, you know, I have to watch it.
Problem with addiction, you know, some things are just really Moorish, mate.
It would remind me what Moorish means?
They're just, you just can't stop. Oh,
yeah. Oh, no, I get it. 100%. Pizza. I fucking love pizza. Some friends had me over a couple of months back, and they bought a shitload of pizza. They're like, have as much as you want. And I did. And I regretted it for days.
I used to say I could live on giant bags of ready salted crisps and Coca-Cola if I could.
Yeah.
Plant me somewhere in the countryside with woods and stuff and lots of animals and just drop that off for me. I'd be fine. I could survive any apocalypse, zombie infestation, anything. As long as I've got a shed full of crisps and Coca-Cola, I'd be fine. But I've moved on from those days. I don't have sugary drinks anymore.
No, same here. That soda was another one for me. My old man had that same problem. My dad was a very hefty guy, and soda was very bad for him. And for most of my life, it was for me too. I could put that shit away. Like when I was a teenager, man, I was drinking 1 liter or 2 liters a day.
Oh, yeah, easy peasy. I can still do that now.
Oh, I could, yeah. I mean, even with diet sometimes, like I buy Diet Pepsi now, and obviously I drink much less of it. But there are times, like I think yesterday I had 2 600 ml bottles and didn't even think about it. I could quite easily have had a third. You know, it's not good.
An ice cold Pepsi Max when your stone hits just different though, doesn't it?
It does. It really does, man. Oh yeah. I remember one last thing on the food thing. I remember I was hanging out with a guy in Chicago once. Brandon, if you're listening, hello. Or Brendan rather, Brendan. But he was telling me there used to be a bar there where he lived that basically gave you free deep fried bacon, and they would just like bring it in, drop it in trays. I guess they used to charge for it. They used to charge like $5, then you get all the bacon you can eat. But the problem is because people were paying for it, there was this thing where they just kept ordering more and more and more, and a lot of it would get wasted. Whereas when they started giving it away for free, it lost that whatever. So anyways, he bet his friend he could eat infinity bacon. And folks, I don't know if you know this, you can't actually eat infinity bacon. You will die. And while he did not, he felt like he wanted to. He ate, I think, 100+ pieces of bacon, and he was a very skinny young man. He was talking about seeing little people. He was seeing pigs. They had their knives out and they were coming for his skinny ass.
Oh, I won't know. I think I've done a good 20 pieces in a sitting at once or twice. Usually when I'm hanging.
Oh, yeah. 20 pieces, maybe I could, like, not now, but because my digestion's garbage. Can't imagine why. But yeah, like when I was younger, 100%. But then, you know, I've got this, like, in addition to to Brendan's thing, I also have this other, like, safeguard in my head, which is my cousin's old roommate, Chris. He was a very large man, very, very large man. And he once ate an entire warming tray of bacon at a buffet.
Good for him.
Yeah, let's just say he sang some songs on the porcelain phone for a real long time.
Guys. In fact, by the end of it, it sounded like there was a pig in there with him.
He looked like Bugs Bunny in this cartoons where he's seasick. His face is just green. Yeah, not good. There you go, folks. You didn't think you were going to get eating disorders and infinity bacon on this episode of Ghost Story Guys, but you were wrong.
Our next message is from Calathea via the website, who says, "Hello, I've been listening to your podcast, The Ghost Story Guys, on the Pocket Cast app on my Android phone, but almost all the episodes from 54 Terror of the Deep and on will not download. The error message tells me to contact you about it, Brennan." I've just added that bit. "It says you may have moved or deleted these episodes. I could try and find your podcast on other apps, but I'm quite attached to this one. Is there anything you can do?"
I've already spoken to her separately or emailed her separately, but I wanted to mention this because we do get a lot of downloads from Pocket Casts, so I thought I should just mention this throw this in here just in case anyone else has the same problem. And essentially, if you have this issue, it's not actually us. We haven't moved anything. It is a glitch in the Pocket Casts app. So if this happens on your Android or iPhone device, you have to clear the cache, possibly reinstall the app. It depends. But yeah, it's a Pocket Casts thing. It's not an us thing. Yeah, we do make mistakes. It happens, but this is not on us. And this happens. This is sort of a regular thing. These apps will screw up any number of times, and they always just fob it off on the creators. Apple Podcasts is terrible for repeating sections of our show. I get a lot of emails from people saying, "Hey, like your show repeats 3 or 4 times. You and Paul say the same thing. You made a mistake with editing." I'm like, "Nope, no, I didn't. I promise you I didn't." And I go back, and it's actually a function of Apple. So it's just one of those things where because we're little shows, people are more likely to believe, "Oh, you guys just fucked up." And again, it happens. But I would say, again, the vast majority of the times it's the platform in question. All right, to round it out, we have 2 more comments. They're both from Spotify. The first is from Nat. Nat says, "Fuck you guys. I was walking around Tesco in a relatively posh area when you talked about Andre the Giant checking Hogan's oil. I must have looked a special kind of weird trying to control my face and stifle my laughing." And that's on our In the Haunted Midwinter episode. That's a brilliant, Nat. Thank you for sharing. And Dana says, "Lol, you guys had me fucked up to the point of pausing the show and Googling. Artax did succumb to despair in the Swamp of Sadness. He died, but was then restored at the end when Bastian restores Fantasia with his wishing at the end. I watched that movie so much that I sussed out the childlike Empress's new name. It won me a round of drinks on trivia night once." And you're totally right, Dana. He dies in the film, but the persistent urban myth, or urban legend around that scene is that the horse that plays Artax also died. And so it's one of those things. It's like the cardboard standee in three Men and a Baby or whatever. It just gets kind of put out on social media every couple of years. So yeah, Artax dies in the film, but a lot of folks like to say, "Oh, he also died in real life." This is not true at all.
Yes, it's like any article that says, "Did you know they used real skeletons in Poltergeist?"
And that's
as
why it's
every
cursed.
other bloody film did up until that point. Poltergeist is not a unique case. Every skeleton you would have seen in a film up to that point, and even today, may possibly and probably was a real skeleton. Quite why people seem to be quite het up about, "Oh, why don't they use plastic ones?" I don't know. I mean, all skeletons come from India. I learnt that watching Return of the Living Dead.
That noted journalistic source, Return of the Living Dead.
That's one of the strangest lines in that film. Where do they get all the skeletons? They come from India, obviously.
Tea comes from China, skeletons come from India. This is going to be my new book about the gender war.
It's like that person who once kicked off with Yorkshire tea when they discovered that tea isn't grown in England.
No, did someone do that?
Yes. I mean, to be fair, these are the kind of people who probably use a hairdryer under the sea, aren't they? Let's be fair.
Well, on the note of a hairdryer under the sea, we're going to draw this episode of Talk Spooky to a close. Thank you to everyone who wrote in, who left comments on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, Facebook, all those places. Again, we love seeing your comments. We try to get as many as we can in the show. And keep sending them in. Again, you can reach us on Instagram. We're at The Ghost Story Guys. We're on Facebook as The Ghost Story Guys. Finally made a group. We're on Reddit as r/Ghost Story Guys podcast. And you can also find us at ghoststoryguys.com. There's a contact form there, or you can just email us at ghoststoryguys@gmail.com. Paul, my friend, where can everyone find you online?
You can find Mysteries and Monsters across most social media platforms and all podcast sites.
Fabulous. I'm largely the truth on Threads, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Letterboxd. And you'll find my horror fiction show, Fear Daily, everywhere fine podcasts live. You can also find me reading audiobooks on Amazon or Audible. I'm reading These Haunted Times Volume 5, and there's also both editions of my book out there, although you definitely want the newest one. That's A Strange Little Place, The Paranormal Secrets of Revelstoke, British Columbia. And finally, it would hardly be an episode of Talk Spooky if we didn't play a song. This time around, which I believe will be our last song for 2025, as hard as that is to believe. I know, man. We have a release from our very own Nakatomi Freefall, from Corey and Margie. I'm very excited to be playing it. It is their latest single, Phenomenon. And Nakatomi Freefall, of course, are on our house label, Night Harvest Recordings. You can find more at nightharvestrecordings.com or at nakatomifreefall.bandcamp.com. And they have a full-length record that I believe will be coming out in the new year. So we will be playing more from that record as we draw closer to the release date. But for now, we will leave you with Vancouver Island's own Nakatomi Freefall and Phenomenon.
You ask an inch and take a mile, and I let it happen. I'm a prisoner to your smile, and I fear you. You're like a phenomenon. You've got me spinning on a wheel like a phenomenon. Oh, I see you in my dreams.